I'm Marcus, a 32-year-old mechanic who enjoys grilled cheese and horror movies. Until recently, I was engaged to Candace, a 34-year-old woman with vibrant red hair and a charming smile. She had 3 children from a previous relationship: 2 boys, Max and Eli, and a little girl named Jordan. I got to know them when they were 7, 5, and 3 years old, and now they're 12, 10, and 8. I was involved in their lives for 5 years, which included school runs and birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese. Unfortunately, my fiancée cheated on me and left me for her ex. She then expected me to continue being a father figure to her children. But I had to respectfully decline. This decision did not sit well with the kids. I often found myself tending to late-night fevers and carrying out the duties of the tooth fairy for the kids. Even when I was caught by Eli, who jokingly demanded, "You owe me $10 now for emotional trauma." I truly cherished those children. Well, I practically raised them on my own. Their biological father, Kevin, yes, that's his name, abandoned us when Jordan was just a baby. No contact, no child support, nothing but a distant figure with a questionable haircut, and an online presence filled with gym selfies and motivational quotes about masculinity. The irony is palpable. Candace and I seemed to be in a good place, or at least that's what I believed. Yes, we had our occasional arguments, who doesn't? But I genuinely loved her. I had already started planning our wedding, secured the venue. My mother had her dress ready, and I had even agreed to partake in a line dance at the reception. However, everything changed one evening when she sat me down. "We need to talk." In an attempt to lighten the tension, I nervously joked, "You better not be pregnant, because that would be really confusing for science." She didn't find it amusing. Instead, she confessed that she had been seeing someone else for about 4 months. She emphasized that it was unintentional, but emotions had developed. To my disbelief, she revealed it was Kevin. I initially thought she was pulling a prank. It felt surreal. Struggling to cope after being abruptly pushed aside by her, I left that night. I gathered my belongings, informed the children I needed to step away for a while, unable to meet Jordan's gaze without welling up with tears. I spent weeks in disarray, my apartment resembling a bleak bachelor pad crafted by sorrow, littered with pizza boxes, tissues, and the remnants of melancholy evenings. I immersed myself in Grey's Anatomy, shedding more tears than I care to confess. Go ahead, judge me if you must. Then Candace's messages began to trickle in. "They long for you. Jordan refuses to consume her broccoli without your presence. Max wept last night, questioning why you harbor ill feelings toward them." And then, a surprising sentiment from Kevin. "Rise to the occasion, my friend. You were an integral part of their lives. Act like a responsible adult. Act like a man. Act like a man. Act like a man," coming from the individual who vanished while his daughter was still in diapers and hadn't handled a diaper change since the time of the Obama administration. I chose to block them both and took time for myself. I delved into therapy, initiated a jogging routine despite my creaking knees resembling a bag of microwave popcorn with each stride. Gradually, quietly, I began to heal. Then, after 6 months, guess who reappeared? Candace, her hair frazzled, eyes puffy. Holding Jordan's little hand, she said, "Kevin left again. He said he wasn't ready. The kids need you." I looked down at Jordan, then back at her, and for a second, just one, I wanted to say yes, but I didn't. I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not their dad, and you made sure of that," she cried. Jordan looked confused, like I was the villain in her bedtime story. But I closed the door because sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes doing the right thing means walking away. And sometimes not being the daddy anymore is how you finally become the man you were always meant to be. I didn't sleep that night, not because I regretted my decision, but because my heart ached. Have you ever loved something so much it physically hurts to let it go? That's what it felt like ripping Velcro off your soul. Those kids weren't just her kids, they were my kids. I taught Max how to throw a football. I built a dollhouse for Jordan one Christmas, and got so many splinters I looked like I'd fought a porcupine. I stayed up all night. When Italy fell ill with the flu last night and ended up vomiting on my Xbox, I realized that despite the messy situation, I still harbor love for them. However, the situation with Candace was more complex. She not only betrayed me by cheating, but also chose another man to step into the role of being a father figure to my children. Moreover, when everything unraveled, Candace expected me to seamlessly return to the picture as if nothing had occurred, as though I were simply a spare set of shoes stashed in the closet. I refused to settle for secondhand affection. Following a heart-to-heart with my therapist the following day, during which I openly expressed my anger, I came to a poignant realization. My frustration did not stem from Candace's return, but rather from allowing myself to entertain a fleeting sense of hope. This vulnerability made me feel powerless. Yet my therapist offered me an invaluable piece of advice that has stayed with me since. She emphasized that loving someone does not preclude the ability to walk away, asserting that this act of detachment signifies maturity rather than weakness. Hence, I made the choice to distance myself. I'd refrain from responding to Candace's messages or reaching out to the children directly. Instead, I penned individual letters to each of them, notes that I intend to preserve and perhaps share with them when they are older and better equipped to comprehend the situation. In those letters, I expressed my pride in them, affirmed my unwavering love, and emphasized that none of the chaos was their fault. Finally, I let go, though parting ways with the noise and drama of the past proved to be a challenging endeavor. In the quietude, I rediscovered myself. I rekindled my passion for repairing cars and began volunteering at a local after-school program. Surprisingly, I realized there was a significant demand for positive male role models among the kids. This time around, I decided to set my own terms. Fast forward a few years, one Saturday morning as I was getting coffee, I spotted Max. He had grown taller, looked more slender, and was sporting headphones and a hoodie. Spotting me, he hesitated for a moment before rushing over to me. I couldn't help but get emotional as he embraced me tightly, expressing how much he had missed me over the years. We sat down and caught up. I commended him, inquired about his school life, and he shared that Kevin had permanently left. Candace was going through a tough time, and the kids were doing their best. Then he asked me the poignant question, "Why didn't you return?" Meeting his gaze, I replied, "I didn't come back until everything was broken, because you deserve people who prioritize you genuinely, not just when it's convenient." He nodded in quiet understanding, acknowledging my words without protest. Finally, he said, He was the only father figure I ever knew. That evening, tears fell once more, but this time not from sorrow, but from a sense of resolution. Now I find myself in a better place. I've started seeing someone new named Tasha. She has an infectious laugh and a cat that seems to despise me, yet she brings tranquility into my life. Devoid of drama, past entanglements, or mind games. Tasha is aware of my history, and her response was heartening. She said, "I'm glad you chose yourself, because now I have the opportunity to love all of you, scars and all." So if you're hearing this and feeling the sting of pain, whether from betrayal or the struggle of letting go, remember this: it's okay to walk away, to decline, to stop sacrificing your happiness for others. Sometimes the most courageous act is shutting the door and keeping it closed. A few weeks after encountering Max, Candace reached out once more via text. "The kids keep asking about you. Maybe you could join us for dinner sometime." I pondered her message. A part of me longed to say yes, for the children, for the shared memories, but I recall expressing, "I will always hold them dear, but I will not serve as your second choice. I'd refuse to be a temporary placeholder in your tumultuous situations." Both they and I deserve more than that. Although she didn't respond, I accepted it, understanding that love alone isn't always sufficient to endure. What truly matters is self-respect, which is sufficient reason to depart. Consequently, I made the decision to leave and did so without turning back.